Now we're here today with the National Alliance for Education, speaking on behalf of what the State Board of Education is doing in Austin, Texas. We'll be speaking with members from LULAC, the NAACP, the Texas Indigenous Council, and also the NAACP. I'm speaking with a young lady here from the NAACP, and she'd like to make a statement for us.
Yes, as the members of the State Board of Education are opining what to include and exclude from the public school curriculum, the right-wing cabal that dominates the board has cemented in infamy their places in U.S. history as revisionists, distorters of truth, and purveyors of ignorance. Read the New York Times, listen to National Public Radio, watch major network and cable newscasts. They have made Texas the laughingstock of the country. Not only are they deleting or marginalizing the contributions of racial, ethnic, gender, and religious minorities in the history, governance, social studies, and culture subjects in the Texas state curriculum, they are also cleansing the information to be taught to our young people of factual information in the natural and social sciences as well. When our students learn about the origins of man, the emphasis is on creationism, not Darwin. When they are introduced to psychology, they will never hear the name of Sigmund Freud. There will be no Sonia Sotomayor on the Supreme Court, no General Benjamin O. Davis in the discussion of our military history. Thomas Jefferson, with his many accomplishments, will be given little attention because he believed in and had the nerve to coin the phrase separation of church and state. So then what will our students in Texas be taught? Reaganomics, the moral majority, Newt Gingrich and the contract with America, the moral majority again and the National Rifle Association, and something that they term American exceptionalism. These people are putting a conservative ideological stamp on history and placing Republican political philosophy in the forefront of the classroom experience. In today's globalized economy, how on earth will our next generation be able to compete with educated people in the other 49 states and those from around the world if they do not truly know and understand American history and are unfamiliar with the basic information that everybody else on the planet recognizes as historical and scientific truth?
You were at the last meeting on March 10th. How did you feel about the board's reaction towards your statement?
Well, they kind of are poker-faced. There's no way to know the way Mr. McElroy and those Cargill and those others are taking it. I don't even know if they were listening to us. It's a good thing that you have to provide them with 35 copies of your testimony, because at least we know that they have it in their hands. It will make it into somebody and on the staff level's intelligence, and perhaps when we go back in May, we will see some of the things that all of us brought to the forefront included in the revisions to the text. Am I optimistic that that's happening? No. These people do not care that they're spreading ignorance. They simply want their agenda to be at the forefront of the textbooks that will be in our country for perhaps the next 10 years.
Some of the Democrats had walked out of the last meeting. I'm not real sure what date it was. Do you know anything about that?
No, but I'm glad they did. I'm glad somebody has one conscience and courage, because if you look at American history and citizenship, that is what made us great. That is what makes America free and a place where everybody can develop themselves to the best of their ability. For somebody to sit there and to listen to what they were offering would be unconscionable. And I'm proud of those 5 Democrats who stayed and listened at the earlier meeting and gave everybody a chance to speak their voice. And I'm proud of those who will, I hope, vote against these unconscionable changes that they want to make to the TEKS.
Thank you. I want to speak with Mr. Brown with the NAACP. Mr. Brown, can you speak on behalf of the National Alliance for Education?
Yes, well, the NAAP is certainly proud to be aligned with the education group, and we support their efforts to bring the truth to our history. And we also support that we have to fight back. We can't just sit back and let this go. This is an opportunity for us to have our voices heard and to make sure that they understand that we want inclusion and that America prides itself on a melting pot. Although we don't want to melt in, we want to remain with our cultures, but we are Americans. And for them to have the audacity to think America only means that political agenda that they have espoused is unconscionable. And we can't stand for it. And if we don't make noise about it, nothing will be done, and this will just go along with business as usual. Earlier you asked about the Judeo-Christian stance. What is that all about? Well, they want to pride themselves that America was founded on Christian, that it was really solely a Christian effort. But it wasn't just Christians. Many of those people were not even Christians that were part of the signing of the Declaration and the meeting that they held in Philadelphia and so forth. So it's just not a very good educational thing to say that that's the only way that we came about, is that because they were so magnanimous, because they were Christians and they granted everybody rights and so forth. Because that is one of the things they're saying. The majority has granted to us rights. And we have fought for our rights. We have fought hard battles, lost many lives and blood, fighting for what we know is right. And what is right is for all people to be recognized as human beings, and that they have the potential to reach their aspirations in life, and they should not be stigmatized because their culture may not be like someone else's culture. And that is what has been happening. So we stand proudly with the effort to make noise about this situation, and we'll continue to do it.
Do you think the state of Virginia is going to be upset with Thomas Jefferson being excluded?
Yes, I think they will. And you know, that speaks to another thing. How ignorant can one get to be when the person who actually authored the Declaration of Independence and so forth, I mean, not by himself, but whose genius was in the forefront, and they want to exclude him? I mean, that's the height of not being very intelligent, really.
I think he's been excluded, sir. The state board has excluded him. So do you think maybe we need to have the state of Virginia started up again, so to speak?
Well, yes, they should agitate as well.
Every American
should agitate.
Every American should. If they're so willing to exclude one of the so-called founding fathers, then what can we expect? So it's again going back to, it's not just as Mr. Mercer, Ken Mercer put it on channel. I've been on KTSA. That we've got the leftists shaking in their shoes. It's not about left or right or conservative or liberal or Democrat or Republican or liberal. It's about including the education which every child, irrespective of ethnicity, they have a right to learn it, and we have an obligation to make sure that it's included in the textbooks which will be presented to them and which they will form their lives and their ideals from.